Hi, everybody. Welcome to Binford Chronicles. I'm not playing my songs in the beginning because I have to get the copyrights for that. But what I wanted to start with today is Ephesians 2:10. For we are God's workmanship, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us to do. We're his vessels, and we don't always know the path God has for us. So we have to listen and just follow that path, the path less traveled. I also wanted to read to you Hebrews 12:3. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinful men, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. So let's keep God with us always. We are in tough times right now. And this is really the reason I opened up this space to do electronic town halls, because there's a lot of groups that are working hard to vet candidates, but they're kind of in a bubble. They are not reaching out to the community, the hardworking Americans out there, citizens, moms, dads. You're going to ball games, you're going to orchestra concerts, you're going to football games in the beginning of the school year. It's really tough for you guys to connect, but this is recorded. It gets played over and over again, and it's more personal. So we get to talk with the candidates and let them relax. They're not sitting on a stage where they have to answer a question somebody just asked someone next to them and answer it differently, and they might have the same thing to say. Instead, Binford Chronicles brings the candidates to you so that you can log on and ask your questions. You know, some of you live in Fellsmere, some of you live in South Vero, some of you live on Johns Island, some of them you live on the beach side. So all of you are living in different parts of Indian River County, so things affect you differently. When I was knocking on doors in Fellsmere, there were a lot of roads. I mean, that's like country out there. You go there and there's streets where there's no roads, you know, it's all dirt roads. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody was on their horse running down a road. I knocked on doors where it looked like I was in farmland, and dogs came chasing me because they had dogs out there on these big properties. So to me, it's really like a farm town out there. So everybody's community is a little bit different. So it's important for you guys to get on and reach out to these candidates. And it helps other people to hear what's going on. So tonight, what I wanted to do is remind everybody that we're going to have Brenda Bradley on Friday, and she's running for Indian River County tax collector. And they have 4 offices now. So they're spread out, and she ran last election, didn't win, but she still got a lot of feedback, so she's not giving up. And I would suggest that to all candidates. This is a grassroots effort, and if you don't give it a try, and if you fail, don't quit. Try again. And I really give her accolades for working hard to get back into that race, and she's doing again. She's not a quitter. That says a lot about a person. And she's been in this county for 50 years, so she has her heart and soul in this county. So I really am excited to have her on Friday, because that's what we need. We need people that love this county, that pretty much grew up here, She graduated from the Vero Beach High School like my kids did. I had 2 kids that graduated from Vero Beach High School. And we have a lot of new people that are coming into Indian River County that haven't seen the changes and the progression that it's gone through over 50 years. I've even met people here that were here in the 1920s. I wasn't even born then. So let me show you her picture. It's Brenda Bradley, and she is running again for Indian River County tax collector. And remember, you have to join us on Twitter. at jbin_chronicles. So once you open up your Twitter account, which is now called X, you will friend me and you'll find me by putting in at jbin_chronicles. And it's called the Electronic Town Hall Q&A. That's this Friday, April 12th at 6 p.m. with Brenda Bradley. Folks, I really love these town halls. It's just so much more personal than going to a forum, or some of you might have friends that are in the Republican Women's Club, and there it's nice to eat your lunch and listen. But here you really get to vet the candidate. You really get to talk to them and have like a little connection with them. And they have the opportunity. They don't have 3 minutes a question, right? A forum, you have like 3 minutes or sometimes 1 minute, depending on how many candidates are sitting up there to present themselves in front of everybody having lunch. So this gives each candidate more time to express themselves. And the great part of that is that you actually get to hear them. They start to relax and they start to be a person. And you can get more information that way than sitting just reading off questions and trying to answer in 3 seconds. So I want to give the extended interview, right? You go there, it's almost like interview dating, or like fast track dating. You go from table to table, table. Well, that's the interview. It's like interview 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. I want to change that. I want you to have the opportunity to listen to them. And a lot of times when you listen to a person talk, you can really get a feel for them. You get more of a soul feel for them. You can't really do that in that kind of structure in a forum. It's just, I hated it. When I was running, I was like, they don't really know me on here. They're just judging by these 3 minutes. And I'll admit it, I went to one forum, which was held by the NAACP. And the funny thing is when we were driving there, we were coming from up north, the north end of the county. And as we were coming from up north, I was looking at all these subdivisions that they had created, and they're like large communities. They reminded me of the big city subdivisions that they started building in Orlando, where you had several neighborhoods in a subdivision. The housing was pretty and the grass was green, but they're all private. So some of them you had to go in through gates, and some of them were open to the public. And that's what it reminded me of. And I was like, but what's happening to Gifford? Because when I walked through Gifford and I knocked on doors, I was kind of taken aback. I was like, you got these really nice homes, and then you've got this block home that was just sitting there empty, like somebody ran out of money, and there's some financial issues going on there. And then you go to another area, nice house, dilapidated house, looked like a cottage. And I was like, how are these people going to afford all these new homes that they're building? And it's funny because I grew up in New York City, so we're very mixed, and there's a lot of apartments there. I mean, I'm a city girl. I grew up in the city, the heart of the city. And so I never heard the term gentrification. But in actuality, that's what I was talking about with my husband and what I was concerned about. So when I got on stage, and I'm not embarrassed that I didn't get what gentrification was, because I didn't grow up in the South. And in the South they have a lot more issues with uh, in the 60s. Like in the 60s, we didn't feel discrimination in New York like they did in the South. So the South, it was a little slower to integrate everybody than it was up north. So like I grew up and everybody was integrated, like everybody was mixed, and I grew up in Manhattan. Like I was in Manhattan as a little girl. So, and we weren't in the rich part of Manhattan, by the way. We we were the lower middle class. My mom worked in a factory, and my dad worked in the post office. So we were not the high class New Yorkers. We were the regular, hardworking New Yorkers, and we were in a mixed community. So I didn't know what gentrification was when they mentioned it on stage, and they kind of like shunned me off, like, well, if you don't know what it is, I don't have time to explain it to you. And then when I got off stage, I asked my husband, I said, I've never used that terminology. I've never even picked up a book and read about it in a book. Like, I've never seen it. And he says, that's what you were talking about on the way we were here. So he knew because he's a Southern boy. And I says, oh, so that's exactly what I was concerned about. So if she had just given me a clue, I would have been able to answer it, and they would have known the concerns I was having with the building that was going on, and how I feared that Gifford is just going to disappear. And but they didn't learn that, right? Because those forums are not set up to really get to know the candidate. They're really not. And this is why I have the electronic town hall Q&A. This candidate is going to get an hour of your time, of everybody's time. And I think that's important, because you can't really get the feel of the person in 3 minutes. You can't. And I felt bad for those people because they knew nothing about me. And they look at me and they think I'm just like some white girl, right? But I'm actually a Puerto Rican, and I came from a poor family. My mom worked in a factory, and my dad was a postal serviceman, and my dad, he was very dark skinned. So I remember his stories when he grew up in New York, and he said he would stay out of the sun because he didn't want the Irish to chase him. But what I'm getting at is there's a lot of people that didn't get to know me because that setting does not allow that. And this is what I'm bringing to you guys. And I really want you guys to join us on Friday, April 12th. This is Brenda Bradley. She is running again. And I congratulate her for not giving up. She really wants to serve the citizens of Indian River County, and she loves this county. So let's hear her out. Let's give her that hour to be herself and to answer at her pace, not, I got to get to the point in 3 minutes. I want each candidate to be able to relax and answer the questions. And hey, if we have hard questions, it gives us an opportunity to give them those hard questions, and then they have time to answer them. And that's important, and I'm going to make my decisions. You're going to make your decisions. I'm going to have my convictions. You're going to have your convictions. But this is how we do it. And this is how we reach out to the community, to give the community as much information about each candidate as possible. And that's what I'm doing here today, reminding you to join us on Twitter, which is now X, right? At 6 p.m. on April 12th. And I want to bring all the candidates back in. I know some of them might have a hard time because either they're feeling good about it, or they're feeling like, well, is it helping me or is it not helping me? But I can tell you right now, we've had really good interviews with Eric Flowers. We've had really good interviews with Touchberry. I like them both, but there's things about each one of them that are weighing the scale. I've interviewed the school board candidates. I've interviewed the county commission candidates, and I've interviewed 2 of the Congressional District 8 candidates that made themselves available. And, what else? I'm thinking about, I feel like I'm missing somebody. And we still have another school board candidate coming up in May, and that'll be Kevin McDonald. I'm very excited about that because he was appointed to school board. So, there's a lot of exciting things happening this election cycle. And the Republican Party is getting together their walk lists and all that stuff. So anyway, I know I'm rattling on. It's been a crazy day today. It's been busy, and I feel like I haven't been able to reach out to you guys, but I wanted to reach out to you guys and just let you know how important this is, and that I'm really passionate about getting you guys the opportunity to really hear the candidates and get on. You actually get to talk with them. And, even if you think you don't like that candidate, it's good for you to still ask those tough questions because somebody else might not have thought of it, and it might even it could sway them to uh, depending on how that candidate answers, it might sway them to vote for them if they weren't going to, or it might sway them not to vote for them. But this is the risk that all the candidates have to take because transparency has to be important. So if a candidate thinks this forum could lose their votes and they don't come on, then that candidate is showing the public that they have no transparency, that they're afraid of what they would say would lose a vote. You have to try to reach every single person in the community and give them the opportunity to make that decision. And for those people that really want to get involved, it gives them an opportunity to get involved and ask those questions. So, anyway, guys, I'm going to call it an evening. It's late tonight. I was sick a week ago, so my throat is dry. It's been dry, and now my husband's sick. So I'm going to wish you a good evening. I'm going to throw Brenda Bradley's picture up again. Happy for her to be running, and I'm happy that I can offer this platform for her on Twitter. And remember to share, comment, and like. You can also subscribe on my YouTube. I have this on YouTube. I have it on Twitter, and then I push it from YouTube to Facebook. All right, guys. So let me switch over to Brenda Bradley. Oh, and before I go, my daughter is Hannah Binford. This is her. She has a medical issue. It's hard for me to ask for money, but we're really having trouble with the insurance companies, and she is just losing so much hope and has been struggling with this since the age of 13. It's an advanced TMJ that is really deteriorating her condyles, and her bite is changing. So she really needs this surgery. And as parents, you say, I don't know how I'm going to afford it, but somehow we figure it out. So we have a give, send, go, whatever anybody can donate is going to help in the long run. Even if it's a little bit, it's going to help because there's a lot of expenses. So if you really want to know more, it's really detailed. You will have to go to the Give, Send, Go page, and it's givesendgo.com. Hannah's _ operation. And this week I should have another update because she's seeing 2 more doctors to give her updates on. They probably will have to do a cleaning because there's fragments in here that build up and blood, pus, and it's just incredible. So anyway, here's Brenda Bradley, and please join us Friday. Remember, April 12th at 6 p.m. with Brenda Bradley for our electronic town hall and Q&A at Binford Chronicles at jbin _ Chronicles. That's Binford Chronicles, where you get access to the candidates.